Have you ever been part of a meal train? You know, where you sign up to bring food for someone who maybe is in the hospital or is newly employed or has experienced a loss. Well, I just had a baby and I had this wonderful gift of people showing up at my house with food. And at first I wasn't sure if I was gonna want it or need it or like, I'll be fine. But let me tell you, one of the best things that happened during that time is at the end of the day, someone from my community, my village, would just show up and bring me food. And I didn't realize what a gift this would be until the end of the day, when I felt like I had to decide between, am I going to shower for the first time in a few days, or am I going to heat up a can of soup? And instead of having to do that with the little energy I had left, I just had someone show up. And it was such a blessing. And I think this has to do with our verse of the day. In Matthew 25, you may have heard this before. Let me read it to us. Matthew 25:35 says, "For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me." And then the righteous will answer and they'll say, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you as a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothed you?" And the king will reply, "Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of me, these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." And that just got me thinking, like, who is the least of these? Like, in general and in my life. And here's the thing is, like, yes, people absolutely need our prayers, need our time, need our conversations. Like, all of those things matter. And yet, if you're hungry or need clothes, you're not really paying attention to the prayer of the person. Like, if your stomach is growling so loudly, I don't know if you can actually, like, concentrate on their very well-meaning prayer. And so sometimes the least of these just needs us to show up in practical ways, because God works through food. God works through clothes and these things. So again, just kind of thinking that, who are the least of these? Because I have to tell you, as a recipient of this care through food and people showing up to, like, clean my house and service, I felt so loved. And I can only imagine if I legitimately didn't have food and someone showed up, I would be much more willing and able to listen to what they have to do. When we care for the hungry and the lonely and the hurting, we're not just helping them, we're serving Jesus himself. And then here's the last thing I kind of want to say, and you might not agree with me on this, and that's okay, because I'm not even sure I fully believe this myself. But sometimes we just show up. And I'm thinking of people, like, when we think of the least of these, they're hurting, they're lonely, they're broken. And we ask them, like, "Hey, tell me what you need. Let me know what you need." And we mean that. But that's hard, because if you're legitimately in a place of loneliness or hurting, you just had someone pass away. Like, if you're really in a hard spot and someone says, "Tell me what you need," how do you answer that? Like, more often than not, I don't think we even know what we need in those times. And so sometimes just showing up with the food, with the coffee, with the hug, with the mop, with the whatever it is, and meeting people in their mess is the most loving thing you can do. And don't just show up at people's house if you don't know them. But for those who you have close relationship with, they're like, no, my house is messy. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm here. Like, I'm here to love you in your mess. Because I think the least of these they're not usually people that can pay us back for these things. Who are the least of these that we're serving? Love you guys.